Fable is a game I've played many times throughout my years, but I've never actually got all the achievements for it. So today, let's change that. The game starts off when you're a kid trying to buy your sister a birthday present. If you do a couple good deeds or bad deeds around the town, your dad will give you some gold, which you can then use to buy your sister some chocolate. Once you have the chocolate, head on over to the outer part of town and give it to your sister, who already knows you had it for some reason because she dreamt you were going to give her chocolates. When you're trying to leave and go back to town, it turns out this was going to be the day where the bandits attacked the village.
It's really happening. They're here. You've got to hide.
Got one!
They burn down the place and kill everyone they see. When you come to, you find your dad's body on the ground. While you're mourning the loss of your father, one of the bandits begins to charge at you. Luckily for you though, the hero Maze is there to save you. He kills the bandit and tells you to come with him back to the Heroes Guild to train to become a hero in the future.
They're all dead. You don't want to join them, do you? Then give me your hand. I thought you'd have a stronger stomach than that. Come on.
Once Maze takes you back to the Heroes Guild, you'll meet the Guildmaster and a young girl named Whisper, who's also there to learn how to become a hero. After that, you'll advance in time a few years and to when you're a teenager and you'll learn how the combat system works in the game. The Guildmaster teaches you how to use magic and fight with swords and crossbows and bows and arrows before putting you in a sparring session with Whisper. This is a part of the game where you can easily miss an achievement. If you battle Whisper at any point in the game and you can defeat her without taking any damage, you unlock the achievement, so you get a few times to fight her throughout the game, but it's easily missable. And finally, at the end of this part of the story, you have to go to the forest to fight Maze in a 1v1, and since it's the tutorial part of the game, you just have to hit him a few times with a ranged attack, a crossbow attack, and a magic attack, and then it's time to age up one more time and graduate from the hero school.
Let the apprentices approach. For many years now, you have worked hard to earn yourselves the title of hero. Today, that apprenticeship ends and you go out into the world to do great deeds. Deeds that will bring you the gratitude of thousands, or strike fear into their hearts. These are dark times. The shadows of Albion are stirring, and strange winds are blowing. Your choices, whether they lead you down the path of good or evil, will change the face of the world. Now, take your guild seals and venture forth as heroes.
Now we're ready to take on some smaller quests and show the world we're ready to become the hero of Albion. The first big task we had to take on was the giant wasp queen terrorizing the local picnic area. This boss is a pretty simple one. She doesn't seem to be able to handle lightning very well, and when she was low enough on health, I shot her in the face with an arrow, and the beast was down. Thankfully, 3 dudes saw the whole thing and were just stoked about it, and they started acting like I was a massive rock star. So I took the boss's head as a trophy and went back to the guild on a massive high. I found out Maze wanted to talk to me at Bowerstone, but I couldn't really tell who he was talking about because those 3 guys followed me from the picnic area and they were just bloody stoked I was there. It was something about rumours of my sister being alive, but he said he was going to look into it more, so I shouldn't worry about it right now. While I was in town though, I did some gambling at the local pub on a memory game and won a bunch of money and a doll for some reason. Maybe the kids at the school want them. But with my winnings, I went and invested and bought a house. So now I can get some rent from the house. I noticed that night there were some guys out of town just beating the crap out of each other in a fighting ring, so I asked if I could join. Cost me $50, but I also had to take off my shirt for whatever reason. Anyway, I beat the crap out of all of them and got a certificate that says I won, and I can move on to the next level. Feeling like the toughest man alive, it was time to take on the next major quest, and that was to protect the orchard farm from bandits. The guildmaster also mentioned that I could boast about my quest before taking it, and increase my fame a little. So I went out and told everyone I'll do this one naked. I was already not wearing a shirt, and pants only slow me down, so why not? Once we got to the farm, Wisp was there to let us know that she was going to help the bandits and try to destroy the farm. Are we not meant to be heroes? Why is she being a dick right now? Anyway, after I took down the bandits, it was time to go for a one-on-one with Whisper again. And of course, because I was fighting for good and she was fighting for evil, I just whooped her. Anyway, I got a thanks from the people who own the farm, saying him and his wife can now sleep in peace and no fear of the bandits, and I got 2 achievements out of it. It was time to celebrate my victory down at the local pub, where I decided to drink my body weight in beer. And then this happened.
Thanking you.
I was still a little drunk and excited about my big victory. I did what anyone would do in a time like this, and got a tattoo from some random guy walking in the woods. I'm sure it was very hygienic and safe to do so. It was now time to return to my hometown, Oakvale, and try to figure out what happened to my sister. On the way there though, some of the traders in the area found out I was heading there, and asked me if they could escort them through the swamps and protect them from all the monsters, since they were going to a place just outside. So I quickly healed them up and off we went. Once arriving in Oakvale, I found out she was being held hostage by the bandit camp, and it was my job to go and rescue her. Working my way across the camp, I finally got to the tent at the very end where their leader was, and this guy was huge. His name was Twinblade because he had 2 blades. Real original from the bandits. But being the size he was, he's quite slow, and he just swings his blades around all willy-nilly. So I just dodged them until he got his sword stuck in the ground, and then hit him with my own swords. Eventually taking him down and saving my sister. She tells me a story about how she survived and became a slave, and then became like their prophet. And then she goes off and does her own things. So basically I saved her, and she says, "Cheers mate," and then leaves. With Twinblade and the bandit camp defeated, I was making some good progress on the story and becoming a well-known hero. Our next destination was the town of Knothole to help take down the White Balverine. When we arrived, it was attacking the town, and the chief of Knothole asked us to help defend them and send the White Balverine away. Once we beat it and sent it packing, we were told only silver could kill such a beast. So then we embedded our hammer with some silver. Probably should have chosen a weaker weapon because we weren't quite strong enough to lift this hammer. Oh well. It was time to go into the woods and take down the Balverine once and for all. It was quite difficult since we couldn't use the hammer very well, but we did manage to beat it in the end and save the town from the terrors. This let the chief give us the opportunity to enter the arena and prove once and for all we're the strongest hero around. The arena was 8 rounds of non-stop action where we had to take on waves and waves of enemies that we had faced before. There was bandits that I managed to hit 3 in one single blow for an achievement. Some goblins were in there, some Balverines were in there, and there was 2 trolls, which I decided to trick one into throwing a rock at the other one, which was a massive deal. And at some point, Whisper helped join the fight. So me and her together cleared the 8 rounds without a break, proving one of us was the greatest hero of all time. At that point, a former great hero, Jack, informed the crowd there could only be one champion, and he told me and Whisper we had to fight and finally see who was the greatest of all time. Considering I had already beaten her once or twice before, I knew this fight wouldn't be any different, and it wasn't. I won and became the arena champion. After that, Jack told me about my mum and how she is possibly still alive. He gave me a trophy and so much experience that I decided to learn some new magic. Back at the guild, I learnt one of every spell and become a mage master, earning me this achievement. Knowing my mum was now alive and in prison, I needed to find a way in. I found out that the archaeologist I had rescued earlier had been caught again and was being sent to the prison. So I went and freed him and found out myself how to get into the prison from him. Turns out we had to go through this graveyard and find a secret passage. But on the way there, I stopped off for a quick little fishing trip because, time isn't of the essence here. She'll be in prison forever. Once I'd freed my mum and we almost made it out of the prison, turns out it was a trap and Jack knew we were coming the whole time. He was the evil mastermind behind this whole thing. So he threw me in prison to rot with my mum. After a couple of years though, I managed to trick the guards and get the key to escape. So once again, I broke my mum out of prison, and this time there was nothing stopping us except for this big tentacle monster. Once we'd finally escaped, my mum told me about Jack's plan to find the secret sword and take over the world with it. And the only way to stop him was to go to Hook Coast and beat him to the secret location. But the travel to Hook Coast wasn't for a few weeks, so I had some time to kill. I went to Knothole and beat the local archery competition, beat the highest score there, and he gave me a silver key. I don't know why people keep giving me silver keys for beating things. Next up, I sort of let my weight get out of control by having too many stakes and press a demon door, which led me to go to Bowerstone and sell all the food I had left so I can get back in shape. I went round to all my houses and collected the rent just in case I'll need some money over at Hook Coast. I tried out a moonfish in Bowerstone that had magic ability to turn night into day, which I thought was cool. Maybe I was just tripping though, we don't know. I also thought I should probably do a little bit of training. So I went to the Hobbit Cave to take care of the problem I had there and drank a potion of Age of Skill, which gained extreme amounts of experience from that. I then also trained up my magic ability by making a bandit kill another one in front of his friends, using a mind spell, and then I used my summoning to kill things. Because every time you killed something with your summon, it would take over the form of what it just killed, and therefore I kept using that to raise up to get an even stronger ally. While saving a town from a bunch of bandits, I officially became 100% pure. I knew this would come in handy to defeat Jack. Because of the classic showdown of good versus evil, I knew good always wins. I've seen Dragon Ball before. On my travels, I did find this cool frying pan though. I went and smacked a bandit in the face with it. No reason, just thought it'd be a fun thing to do. Also, it turns out I had a bit too much money, so I went to the church and donated 100,000 to them. I didn't want to get robbed on the boat on the way to Hook Coast, so I figured this was a nice thing to do. The Chief of Knothole heard about my great deed and offered me a chance to fight in the grand final of the Fight Club. I wasn't going to turn that down. And the final match was me versus him. And I was going to kick his ass the best I could. So I beat him and became the greatest fighter in the world. Well, that's if you ask a bunch of drunk old guys fighting without shirts. Just before I left for the Hook Coast, I let all my fans outside of the Heroes Guild know how confident I was by showing them all the trophies I'd earned. And all 9 of the people that showed up, they were stoked and impressed by me. I arrived at Hook Coast expecting to take on Jack, but it turns out Maze had been a traitor this whole time and was working with Jack. The town had been cleared out and it was time for me to whoop his ass and stop him from letting Jack get the sword. Our big fight ended just outside a lighthouse. But once again, I had proven I was a worthy hero and was not going to stop until Jack has been defeated. Maze did reveal that Jack was actually at the Heroes Guild, in the secret chamber underground. So I had to quickly rush to get there as quick as I could. Jack did send some enemies at me, his little minions, but they were no match for me, and using that I became well known around the world for my renownedness. And next thing I know, I was in the Heroes Guild face to face with Jack. Our final battle had just begun. After a long fight, I managed to strike him down, ending his reign of terror over the land, and achieving the sword for myself. But knowing of its evil, I had a choice to make. Keep the sword and take over the world, or get rid of it and free the world. I decided the best course of action here was to get rid of the sword. So me and my sister left the room having saved the world, or so we'd thought.
And now comes the choice I spoke of so long ago. Strike me down now with the sword of Aeons, and you will become as powerful as Jack dreamt of being. Cast it into the vortex, and its darkness will be gone forever. So what will you do, little brother? They're both where they belong now, lost forever. It's time I found where I belong. I know it isn't here.
Turns out Jack had somehow survived this whole thing and went into hiding on an island just off the Hook Coast. And the only way to get there was from a ship on the Hook Coast. So off I went to end this once and for all. But there was these dudes with magic armor monsters trying to stop the ship from coming. I had to take them out of the docks and protect the lighthouse so that the ship knew how to get there. Once I'd made my way over to the new island, I was tasked with finding some tablets around an abandoned city that let me talk to Jack and he could tell me how to open the gate to fight him. Don't know why he was offering to help, but he was. I had to collect some souls for him, which I assumed gave him extra power, And then that opened the door for the final showdown. And it turned out Jack was a dragon now, for some reason. Not quite sure how he managed to do that, but here he was in his full glory. And I knew it would be an epic battle that my grandchildren would hear about. After a while, I managed to deliver the final blow, and this time was sure that Jack was finally defeated. And I had made my name as the greatest hero of all time, and saved Albion once and for all. To celebrate this mighty achievement, I went back to the Hook Coast and got a gift from my wife. Oh yeah, I'm married now, don't worry about that. I'm also like 86 years old at this point. That's another thing that happened. So it was now time to retire and do some things I always wanted to do. First thing on the list was finding the closest demon door and showing it what I really thought of it. So I flipped it off. I was on my way back to Bowerstone to deliver some books to the local school there because, you know, I'm a good guy. And I found this neat little chest. Didn't really have anything in it, but, you know, it was a cool chest nonetheless. I just had this really cool assassin outfit I wanted to wear around town to make me look like more of a badass, but I actually did a real fart in it and followed through. It just ruined the whole outfit. Feeling gross, I went and got a new haircut and a dress, and it made me feel a lot more beautiful. But then I was running into the woods and some bandits laughed at me, so I did what everyone else would do. I shot the bandit in the face with a crossbow. Finally making to Bowerstone, I gave the school a bunch of books, and he gave me a silver key in return. Again, I don't know why I keep getting these silver keys. But I did it for the kids' education, so I was happy in the end. Then he asked me to meet him outside the pub to give him the dolls, and not at the school, which made me think maybe these dolls aren't for the kids. But he did tell me about a rare sword just hanging out in the shops in the town. So I went and bought that, and that was a cool sword. But throughout this whole journey, I never stopped training, just in case another enemy arose. So I became as powerful as I possibly could, and lived out the rest of my days ready for anything that would happen to Albion, so I could save it in the future. And that's the story of Fable. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm thinking of doing a racing game, if you can guess what game that is. Anyway, see you later, guys.